What if building a real AI app didn't start with writing code at all, but instead started with simply explaining what you want in plain English, the same way you would explain it to another person? What if you could focus on the idea, the flow, and the user experience and let the technical side be handled for you? That is exactly what vibe coding is about, and that's what I'm going to walk you through step by step. Vibe coding means creating software by describing what you want in plain English and letting AI generate the code for you. Basically, instead of thinking about syntax, frameworks, or low-level implementation details, you think about the vibe of the app, how it should feel, how users move through it, and what problem it solves. The AI takes that description and turns it into real working software. Think of it like talking to a developer, except the developer is AI, works instantly, and never gets tired. This is why vibe coding is powerful for beginners, creators, and even experienced developers. Beginners can build real apps, creators can launch ideas faster, and developers can move much faster by focusing on logic and flow instead of repetitive setup. Now, to do vibe coding properly, you need the right vibe coding tools. One of the best tools for this is Antigravity. Antigravity is built specifically for vibe coding and is designed to turn high-level ideas into real working apps. In this tutorial, I'll be using Antigravity for my examples, so everything you hear will directly follow that workflow. Antigravity is made by Google, and the first thing we need to do is get it installed on our system. So here's where we start vibe coding with Antigravity. You go to Antigravity and Google, and from there you download the IDE. Basically, the IDE is the software environment where you'll be interacting with the AI agent and reviewing what it generates. Once you're on the download page, you choose your operating system. If you're on Mac OS, you download the Mac version. If you're on Windows or Linux, you download the Windows or Linux version. In my case, I'm using Windows, so I download the Windows version and wait for it to finish downloading. After the download is complete, you install Antigravity. This part is very straightforward. You click Next, then Next, again, then Next. When it asks if you want to create a desktop icon, you can check that option, click Next, and then Install. Basically, you're just letting the installer set everything up for you. Once the installation finishes, you launch the software. When Antigravity opens for the first time, you see a setup screen that says something like, "Welcome to Antigravity, let's get you set up." You click Next to begin the initial configuration. At this stage, you're asked how you want to start. You can start fresh, and then you choose your appearance settings like light mode or dark mode. I'm using dark mode here, but this part is just personal preference and doesn't affect how vibe coding works. Next, you see a very important option about how you want to use the Antigravity agent. This is where review-driven development comes in. Basically, review-driven development means you review every request, policy decision, and code execution before the agent performs it. This is the recommended option, and it's what I advise you to use. The reason this matters is simple. Even though the AI is doing the heavy lifting, you stay in control. You decide whether an action should run or not, you review what the agent plans to do, and you approve it step by step. This makes vibe coding feel like working with a very smart junior developer that always checks with you before doing anything major. After selecting review-driven development, you click Next and continue through the setup. At this point, you'll be asked to sign in with your Google account. You sign in, authenticate successfully, and then reopen Antigravity if needed. Once you're signed in, you accept the terms and conditions, click Next again, and then Antigravity finishes setting itself up. It installs the necessary extensions in the background, and after a short wait, Antigravity is now live on your system. This completes the first step of vibe coding with Antigravity, getting the tool installed, configured, and ready to use. In the next part, we'll move from setup into actually generating a real AI web app and understanding the different ways you can prompt the Antigravity agent. Now that Antigravity is fully set up and running on your system, the next thing we want to do is actually start generating our AI app. This is where vibe coding really begins to feel real, because you're no longer configuring software, you're creating something. Inside Antigravity, there are basically two ways you can start generating a web app. The first way is to directly prompt the agent inside Antigravity. Basically, you go to the agent tab and type something like create a web AI upscaler and let the agent handle everything from there. This approach does work, but there's an important issue you need to understand. In programming, we have what are called tech stacks. Basically, a tech stack is the combination of tools, libraries, and technologies used to build an app. When you prompt the agent directly without much detail, the AI might choose a tech stack that isn't what you actually want. Because of that, I prefer a second approach, and this is the approach I'll be using here. Instead of prompting Antigravity directly, we first use ChatGPT to generate a very detailed prompt. Then we take that prompt and give it to the Antigravity agent. This way, we control the structure, the tools, and the direction before any code is written. So the next step is to go to ChatGPT. Inside ChatGPT, we paste a prompt asking it to generate a detailed instruction set for a web app. In my case, I'm building a web app that upscales videos for free using Upscaler.js AI and ffmpeg.wasm. I already know the packages I want to use, so I explicitly include them in the prompt. Basically, I'm telling ChatGPT exactly what kind of app I want, what packages should be used, and how the app should behave. I also specify that the app should auto-sharpen, enhance details, and denoise video similar to Topaz. The goal here is to build a Topaz-like AI upscaler tool, but entirely through vibe coding. Another important detail is that the prompt must be compatible with vibe coding tools. That means the output should be structured in a way that Antigravity can understand and execute. So I explicitly include that requirement in the prompt before generating it. Once ChatGPT finishes generating the prompt, you copy the entire output. You don't trim it, you don't summarize it, you copy the whole thing. This full prompt is what gives Antigravity the clarity it needs to act like a senior software engineer instead of guessing. Now you go back to Antigravity, paste the prompt into the agent input area, and choose the model you want to use. Here, I'm using Claude, specifically Claude Sonnet 3.5 or Claude Opus 3.5. You can choose either depending on your preference, but the workflow stays the same. Once you send the prompt, Antigravity starts thinking. Basically, this is the planning phase. The agent begins analyzing the request, searching for the required libraries like Upscaler.js and ffmpeg, wasm, and preparing a structured implementation plan. You see that Antigravity doesn't jump straight into writing code. Instead, it creates a task breakdown and an implementation plan. This is a big part of why vibe coding with Antigravity works so well. It mirrors how a real senior developer would approach a project before writing anything. As the plan is generated, you'll notice multiple phases being outlined. These include project setup, core services, UI components, processing pipelines, and final polish and optimization. Each phase represents a logical step in building the app, and this helps you understand what the AI is about to do before it does it. At this point, Antigravity will ask you to review the plan. This is where review-driven development becomes important again. You open the plan, scroll through it, and check things like the file structure, dependencies, and overall logic. For example, you confirm that ffmpeg and Upscaler.js are included, that the processing pipeline makes sense, and that the flow of the app matches what you described. If everything looks good, you respond with something simple like, "Perfect, continue." Once you approve the plan, Antigravity switches into execution mode. This means it will now start creating files, installing dependencies, and building the actual app. But before it does anything significant, it asks for your approval each time. You'll see prompts asking you to accept actions like creating a Vite project or installing packages. Each time, you review the request and click accept. Basically, you're supervising the AI as it works, not blindly letting it run. As Antigravity continues, you see files being created in real time. Things like video analyzers, upscaler services, and FFmpeg service wrappers start appearing. You can also track which phase the agent is currently working on, so you always know what's happening. This part requires a bit of patience. You wait, you review, and you approve when needed. That's the rhythm of vibe coding for beginner and advanced users alike. You're guiding the process, not micromanaging code. In the next part, we'll look at what happens after Antigravity finishes building the app, how you review the final output, where the files live on your system, and how this completes the full vibe coding workflow. Now, once Antigravity finishes running through all the phases and completing the task, the next thing that happens is that your app is actually ready. Basically, the AI has already done the heavy lifting, from project setup to services, UI components, and the processing pipeline. At this point, Antigravity will usually open your project in the browser automatically. This lets you immediately see the results of your vibe coding session. You can interact with the app, test how it behaves, and confirm that the flow matches what you originally described in plain English. If you look at the UI and feel like something doesn't match your vibe, you can simply prompt the agent again. Basically, you describe what you want changed, whether it's the layout, the behavior, or the flow, and Antigravity will update the app accordingly. You're still vibe coding, just refining the experience. Now, something very important to understand here is where your project files actually live. Inside Antigravity, you might notice an export button, but that's not the main thing you want to use. Instead, you go back to the implementation plan. Inside the implementation plan, you see the full file directory for your project. Basically, this shows you exactly where the AI created your app on your system. From there, you can navigate to the folder path, usually inside your user directory where Antigravity stores generated projects. Once you locate the folder, you now fully own the project. You can upload it to GitHub, you can build it, and you can deploy it. Basically, everything you'd normally do with a manually coded app, you can do here, except it was created through vibe coding. For example, you can run a build command, generate a production version of the app, and host it like any other web project. The key thing to understand is that this is not a demo or a mock-up. This is a real AI app generated through vibe coding with Antigravity. So here's what's overall. You start with an idea. You describe that idea clearly in plain English. You use ChatGPT to turn that idea into a detailed prompt. You give that prompt to Antigravity. Antigravity plans the project. You review the plan, and then you supervise execution step by step. This is why vibe coding for beginner users works so well. You're not skipping understanding, you're just shifting where your effort goes. Instead of struggling with syntax, you're focused on logic, flow, and decision making. The AI becomes your AI web developer, and you become the director of the project. Lastly, this entire workflow shows the real power of vibe coding with Antigravity. You're combining clear ideas, structured prompts, and review-driven development to build AI apps efficiently. You stay in control, the AI does the technical work, and together you move much faster. That's the full vibe coding tutorial workflow. From installation to a finished AI app. Once you understand this system, you can apply the same process to build almost anything, simply by changing the idea and the prompt. If this video helped you understand vibe coding better or saved you time on your AI app journey, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future tutorials. And if you'd like to support the work I'm doing here, you can make a voluntary donation through my Show Me Love page using the link in the description. Your support helps me test more AI tools, build real projects, and keep sharing clear, practical workflows consistently.